Welcome. This lesson is from physiology. This lesson is for both 5th semester and 3rd semester students. The topic is muscle contraction and it is a continuation of the earlier lesson on muscle contraction. In the earlier lesson on muscle contraction, we have learned about different types of muscles, the structure of skeletal muscle, structure of muscle fiber or muscle cell, ultrastructure of skeletal muscle cell, and structure of sarcomere. With the help of today's lesson, the learners will be able to know and understand the mechanism of muscle contraction with the help of sliding filament theory, the muscle relaxation, muscle fatigue, and energetics of muscle contraction. In the previous class, I have explained types of muscles, the structure of skeletal muscle, structure of muscle fiber or muscle cell, and structure of sarcomere. Sarcomere is the unit of muscle contraction. Sarcomere is the place between two Z lines. Z line is the mid portion which is present in the eye band, and between two consecutive this Z lines, the region between these two Z lines that is called as sarcomere. It includes the A band as well as some part of the I band. So this sarcomere is a unit of muscle contraction. Sarcomere is a unit of muscle contraction. The contraction of this sarcomere reflects the contraction of the muscle as a whole. When a muscle is stimulated, the sarcomeres in the muscle they become shorter. So in this figure we can observe that this image A, it shows a relaxed muscle, and B shows the contracted muscle. So this when the muscle is stimulated, all the sarcomeres present in the muscle they become shorter. So what is the sarcomere? Sarcomere is the space between two Z lines. So this space is reduced in a contracted muscle. So this is due to the sliding of thin filaments over the thick filaments. Sliding of thin filaments over the thick filaments. As a result of this sliding, the length of the eye band reduces. The length of this eye band becomes reduced in a contracted muscle. At the same time, the H zone also reduces. This is the H zone which is present, the mid portion of the A band where only myosin filaments are present. This part is called as H zone, and this H zone is also reduced. While the length of the A band and the length of the thick filaments as well as the thin filaments, it remains unchanged. The length of the sarcomere, it is reduced by 30 to 60% in a contracted muscle. So this contraction, due to this sliding of actin filaments over the myosin filaments, the sliding of filaments one over the another causes shortening of the sarcomere and thus muscle contraction. The mechanism of muscle contraction was explained by sliding filament theory. This sliding filament theory was proposed by A.F. Huxley, independently by A.F. Huxley and Rolf Niedergerg from University of Cambridge, and Hugh E. Huxley and Jane Hansen from Massachusetts Institute of Technology in 1954. So they have explained the muscle contraction, how the thin filaments slide over the thick filaments. So here the main theme of the muscle contraction is sliding of filaments, thin filaments over the thick filaments. So this is possible by forming of cross bridges between myosin heads and actin. So here in this figure, this is a relaxed state and this is a contracted state of the muscle. Here in the actin filaments, the thin filaments on actin, there is a myosin binding site. So this myosin binding site which is present on the actin, the heads of the thick filaments, the head regions of the thick filaments bind and cross bridges are formed. So the formation of cross bridges between myosin heads and actin is a main thing which helps in sliding of filaments one over the other. Now let us see about the events that occur in muscle contraction. Muscle contraction occurs whenever it is stimulated, whenever a muscle is stimulated by a neuron. So here this is a neuron and this is the muscle. So whenever an action potential arrives in the presynaptic neuron, so in between the nerve as well as the muscle, there will be some gap is present and that gap is called as neuromuscular junction. And that gap, this is the neuromuscular junction. So whenever an action potential arrives and the neuron that is present above the neuromuscular junction is called as presynaptic neuron, and whenever an action potential arrives this presynaptic neuron, then that action potential, it causes the calcium ions, it opens the calcium gated channels in the presynaptic membrane. So with this, the calcium ions are released out, and these calcium ions they cause the fusion of the synaptic vesicles. These are the synaptic vesicles which are present in the presynaptic neuron, and they also cause the release of acetylcholine from the presynaptic neuron to the neuromuscular junction. And the acetylcholine released from this synaptic clefts, it binds to the ligand gated receptors which are present on the plasma membrane of the muscle, that is sarcolemma, and with this binding, sodium ion channels are opened and sodium influx occurs. Here we can see, so with this here sodium ions, influx of sodium ions occurs, and this causes depolarization of the membrane and creating an action potential. An action potential is generated. So when this action potential it reaches the It travels all along the sarcolemma, and when it reaches the T tubules, this action potential is sensed by the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So in the sarcoplasmic reticulum, on the surface of it, calcium gated channels are present, and this is sensed by them, and the calcium which is stored in the sarcoplasmic reticulum is released with the help of this action potential into the sarcoplasm. This is the sarcoplasm, and these are the calcium ions. The calcium ions released, they bind to the troponin C, which is present on the thin filament. So here we can see this is a troponin C, and this is a calcium binding site. This is a thin filament, and this is a thick filament consisting of myosin protein. Thick filament has myosin protein, and thin filament consists of actin. This is actin, and this is the tropomyosin, and this is the troponin. So the calcium ions, they bind to troponin. With the binding of the calcium ions to troponin, it causes tropomyosins to displace from the actin filaments. So usually the tropomyosin, they block the active site which is present for the binding of the myosin filament. With the binding of calcium ions to troponin C, this leads to the displacement of tropomyosin from actin, so that the active sites that are present in the actin filaments, they are exposed. To this exposed active sites which are present in the actin filaments, the myosin filament heads will attach to them. Thus, cross bridges are formed. Myosin head consists of actin binding site. Not only actin binding site, it also consists of ATP binding site, and it shows ATPase activity. The myosin head, that is the heavy meromycins of myosin protein, they project out in all directions from the thick filament, and each myosin filament is surrounded by 6 actin filaments, and cross bridges are formed with each of the 6 actin filaments. Whenever ATP binds to the myosin head at the region of ATP binding site, so this ATP is soon hydrolyzed into ADP and inorganic phosphate. And this myosin, with the help of this inorganic phosphate and ADP, it becomes energized. And with the energy, there will be a small change in the structure of the myosin, so that it will attach to the active sites of the actin filament. And later on, with the help of this energy, Pi, that is inorganic phosphate, it binds to the active site of the actin filament. And this ADP remains attached to the myosin filament only, and with this a cross bridge is formed. A cross bridge is formed whenever the head of the myosin filament attaches to the active site of the actin filament. So this cross bridge is at 90 degrees, at almost 90 degrees. And this cross bridge, after the formation of the cross bridge, the actin filaments, they are moved towards the sarcomere. they are pulled towards the inside of the sarcomere, that is towards the myosin filaments. So this is called as power stroke. That is, the actin filaments are moved towards the myosin filaments, that is inner side of the sarcomere. So this is called as power stroke. So after power stroke, so this power stroke is initiated with the help of the inorganic phosphate, which is released by the hydrolysis of ATP. And this ADP remains attached to the myosin molecule, and later on whenever a fresh ATP again binds to the myosin molecule, that is the head of the myosin, then this myosin head will detach from the active site. It will dissociate or detach from the active site of the actin filament. Likewise, this cyclic events occur sequentially. So that is attachment, with the attachment of the ATP will be hydrolyzed to ADP and inorganic phosphate. With this energy, myosin gets energized, and the energized myosin will attach to the active site of the actin filament, that is cross bridge is formed, and the actin filaments are pulled inside the sarcomere, towards the sarcomere, and thus this is called as power stroke. And later on, whenever again a fresh ATP molecule binds to the ATP binding site of the myosin head, then that will detach from the myosin, from the active site of the actin filament, and this cycle is repeated as long as calcium ions and ATP are available in the sarcoplasm. Thus the contraction of the sarcomere occurs, and the whole muscle also, and by this muscle contraction also occurs as a whole. So when the nerve impulse stops, then the calcium ions from the sarcoplasm, they re-enter into the sarcoplasmic reticulum by calcium ATPase activity, by calcium ATPase, which is present in the membrane of the sarcoplasmic reticulum. When the nerve impulse is stopped, then the calcium ions they are released back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So this is done with the help of the calcium ATPase, which is present in the membrane of the sarcoplasmic reticulum. As the calcium ions are absent in the sarcoplasm, the tropomyosin, it will again block the active site of the actin filament, so that myosin cannot bind with the active site of the actin filament. Thus the cross bridges are not formed, and muscle contraction does not occur. At the same time, ATP will bind to the myosin head, and the detachment of this myosin head from the actin filament occurs, and the muscle contraction is ceased, that is stopped. Tighten attached jet lines and thick filaments pull back the sarcomere to its original position by its elasticity. Thus the muscle becomes relaxed. Now let us see muscle relaxation in detail. So whenever the nerve impulse ceases to occur, that is whenever the nerve impulse stops to occur, then the muscle relaxation occurs. So this is the presynaptic neuron, that is a nerve end, and this is the motor end plate, and this is the sarcolemma. So whenever the cessation of the nerve impulse takes place, then the acetylcholine which is present in the synaptic region is broken down with the help of an enzyme called acetylcholine esterase into acetate and choline. So this during the muscle contraction we have studied that acetylcholine will open the gated channels so that sodium enters into the motor, into the muscle cell and forms a depolarization of the muscle cell. So due to the dissociation of acetylcholine into acetate and choline, then depolarization will be stopped. So acetylcholine breakdown by acetylcholine esterase enzyme. So this is one, and with this the sarcolemma will be activated, and when the impulse it transports into the T tubule, the action potential causes the calcium ions release that we have studied during muscle contraction. But in muscle relaxation, the calcium ions they are released from the troponin site. Calcium ions bind to the troponin C. So they are released from the troponin C, and thus again troponin tropomyosin complex is formed. With this tropomyosin, it gets its original position and it blocks the active site of the actin molecule, so that the myosin cannot bind to the active site of the actin. With this, the calcium ions which are released into the sarcoplasm, they will be reabsorbed into the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So with this, the muscle relaxation occurs. The cross bridges will not be able to form, and no power stroke. And at the same time, ATP will bind to the myosin head, and it will dissociate from the active site of the actin filament, and it will not dissociate to give energy like ATP and inorganic phosphate. Thus, the muscle will be in relaxed state. Now let us see about muscle fatigue. A muscle exercised continuously for prolonged period may lose its ability to contract. This condition is called muscle fatigue. The reasons for muscle fatigue are decreased blood flow, ion imbalances across the sarcolemma due to repeated stimulations, or it is most likely be due to the accumulation of lactic acid in the muscle from anaerobic ATP production. The lowered pH from lactic acid prevents muscle to contract on stimulation. Now let us see about energetics of muscle contraction. The primary source of energy for muscle contraction is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. However, the muscle fiber contains ATP that lasts only for 3 seconds. The energy needed is to be replenished. So there are 3 sources of energy replenishment in muscle. One is creatine phosphate, the second is glycogen breakdown, and the third is oxidative breakdown of glucose and fatty acids. Creatine phosphate or phosphocreatine is a high energy phosphate reservoir defending the ATP cellular levels. Creatine phosphate is called as phosphogen as it generates ATP. Creatine phosphate has high energy phosphate, and that phosphate along with ADP forms ATP and creatine with the help of creatine kinase enzyme and in the presence of magnesium ions. Enzyme creatine kinase works in both the directions. Creatine phosphate synthesis from ATP or ATP synthesis from creatine phosphate occurs as per the requirement. So this depends upon the availability of creatine phosphate and ATP in the muscle. When the muscle is in relaxed state, more ATP synthesis occurs due to oxidative metabolism, and the direction of the reaction is towards the creatine phosphate synthesis. And when the muscle is in contraction phase, more and more ATP is depleted. Hence, the reaction is towards the synthesis of ATP. However, the pole of creatine phosphate is 10 to 15 times more than ATP. Creatine phosphate acts as a modest reservoir of ATP and it lasts only for 10 to 15 seconds. It supplies energy for heavy burst activities like sprinting. The next source is glycogen fermentation. Skeletal muscle fibers consist of 1% glycogen. This glycogen is converted to glucose 1,phosphate with the help of phosphorylase enzyme. This reaction is called glycogenolysis. Glucose 1,phosphate is converted to glucose 6-phosphate, and this glucose 6-phosphate enters the glycolytic pathway and produces 2 molecules of ATP and lactic acid. Glycogen fermentation lasts only for very short time, and this causes rapid and deep breathing. Glycogen fermentation is also required afterwards for the production of glycogen from the lactic acid which was synthesized earlier. So this deep breathing also continues for a short time after the exercise. The body must repay for its oxygen debt. Glycogen fermentation also supplies energy for a burst of heavy activity. Most of the energy needs of the muscle engaged in prolonged light activity are met by the oxidative metabolism of glucose and fatty acids. The energy needs of the heart muscle is met by oxidative metabolism.